flow right now.
As the old Jewish joke goes, what harm could it do?
Oh. And Cheryl.
Cheryl.
So you all saw that that the diplomat Boris,
Mhm.
what was it?
Mhm. Boris, yep, Boris.
Beredov or something. I didn't write it down, but did you read his statement?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
No.
A Russian diplomat has quit and written this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I
yeah,
read
yeah.
about his quitting.
yeah.
I see his statement.
His statement is amazing.
Mm.
Hmm,
I'll put the link in the chat.
Thank you.
I heard about that on the radio, but I didn't read the statement.
Mm. Yep.
He didn't sound like he was pulling too many punches.
No.
What the story sounded like.
And the BBC interviewed him yesterday
Mm.
and asked him how secure he felt now. And I honestly don't remember what his answer was. You know,
I suspect he doesn't feel very secure.
It's hard to imagine he does.
I mean, he's in Geneva, but that apparently doesn't stop the Russians from poisoning you.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to drop the agenda into the chat.
Can I don't know if you timed everything to make it last an hour and a half, Peter, but at 4 o'clock, Joseph Gerson is talking about common security.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to go to that also.
And I think
Well,
that's interesting.
let's try and get done by then.
Thank you.
And with that in mind, let's get going. We don't have any new people, so I think we all know
Margaret.
each other. Hello,
Evelyn, were
Margaret.
you going to put something in chat?
And then,
Yes, he's going to.
A minute taker would be good.
yeah, we got to do that this time. Are you seeing that in the chat yet, or did I
No.
not hit the? Oh, I
No.
didn't. Okay, I didn't hit enter. There you
Yeah,
go.
there it is.
Oh, yeah. Enter is always a good move.
That's right. We need a note taker since Bruce isn't here. Anybody want to volunteer to do that?
Violence.
Well, I'll give whomever the recording if somebody wants to volunteer it.
I'll volunteer.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank
You
you.
all owe me. You all owe me for that.
Sure.
What do you want?
Chocolates. You can ship me chocolates from Belgium.
All right,
Can't
noted.
Belgium anymore, sorry.
So we're at the
No,
agenda.
you're not that timid.
We're at the agenda review, and I think Tim wants to add something to the agenda.
Well, I thought that we had agreed last time that on today's agenda would be a discussion of what else cities and towns can do besides pass a resolution. And I sent you all some ideas about that. I don't know if you all saw it.
Yeah. So,
Here's Peter's document that we're going to discuss has tons of plans. Tons of things that one can focus on.
right.
So, Timon, when did you send that?
Friday, I think.
To the LNL
Yep.
list?
Yes, it was very, very good. I saw it.
Yeah, I saw it too.
I can send it to Cheryl again. Anybody else not get it?
I'm sure it's there. I just
Well, anyway, let's look at the agenda and figure out where we want to put this. The LNL participation in upcoming national actions, since we don't have either of the people from that have now been hired, maybe we could put it right after the review of the strategic planning document. Can we do that? Make it number 5.
make
Good.
Timmons thing number 5.
It is already there, yeah.
Well, the participation in upcoming national actions is somewhat covered. I told you I got this email
Mhm.
about that. Did you? But only because Ellen sent it me, because she's on the list and I'm not.
I got something from Sophia.
Woman.
Right.
Some of you are on that list and some of us aren't, but nevertheless, that's what I thought maybe Peter was talking about.
No,
June 1st, June 7th.
yeah, I don't know how to bring that up.
But
Yeah, I
anyway.
got something from you about that. But anyway, let's,
Yes, we can
since
add-
we're on the agenda item, let's put it right in there, if that works for everybody. And then let's move to Cheryl. Would you kind of review that terms of reference thing that you sent out? Maybe we could just put that to bed pretty quickly.
Yes, well, I sent you all a second version an hour or so ago, because I sent the first one. Joan made some good suggestions, and so I added her. I called it R2. I believe in giving you revision numbers at the end of the file names. And so making clear that, you know, I mean, my understanding is that city resolutions and ordinances are supposed to lead our legislators towards real legislation about supporting the TPNW.
Right.
And so that's why I'm in little a, it's, I've added, you know, such as city resolutions, city and ordinance, county ordinances, as well as state legislation. And then in the little b, it used to say coordinating efforts to build a movement, which makes it sound like it's our total responsibility. And Joan caught that. So now we're helping to coordinate. I think that was Joan's reasoning there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise it
That's
sounded
a
like we were in charge.
a very broad goal for
Yes.
9 people, in my opinion.
Right.
Right.
So the point is that this is very short, does not have timelines, does not have strategies, and you know, so the terms of reference of the nuclear ban action group that I worked on with other people, with Asher and other people a year ago, has a lot more in it. Okay, this is a very much cut down version. So you all need to decide if this is sufficient for the moment, and later on we can be more specific. But the main point was to distinguish us from what's now going to be called the policy and advocacy group. Right, Timon?
Right.
Used to be called nuclear ban. So this was just to say, we're just working on local and state level, not the federal level.
Right, that's
So
point
that-
A.
Yes.
I think
and
that's
then-
important. But from my point of view, point B then doesn't clearly distinguish us from the rest of the Nuclear Ban Collaborative. So I don't know how you feel about that. But I mean, you know, the Nuclear Ban Collaborative as a whole is about building a movement and networking, and you know, this is part of that, not the whole of it. This is one part of it.
So, excuse me, how could I, do you want me to suggestions on how I would actually change the wording there to make that clear? Or are you saying it's not necessary at all? We're helping. I mean, it says helping this and helping that.
Well, isn't it helping connect networks and associations to achieve the goals in number A? You know, it's not just in general building a movement. It's about, we're working at the local level
Right.
to
right,
build
right.
capacity to do,
Mhm, mhm.
legislation and resolutions and so on. But that's my interpretation.
Peter, do you see the
Um,
subtle distinction there?
I'm not gonna fall on my sword about this, but I like building the movement in there. Because I think at the local level, we probably want to do other things besides just work on legislative types of things. And so, yeah, I'd prefer to keep it in there, would be my opinion.
I agree.
Do we want to make it a C? Do we want to make helping the connect networks and associations at local level? Creating, sharing, and amplifying resources, and then little c, helping to coordinate efforts to build a movement. So kind of split that into two subsections.
Yeah, one the movement building and one in the previous one,
Connecting networks and associations, but distinguish that is at the local level. You see the difference,
is
everybody?
it local and state or local, just local?
Well, I mean, local and state.
Local.
I just,
Yes,
I'd like to know from Susan and Peter how you clarify what this group is as opposed to the Nuclear Ban Collaborative, which is the umbrella that we're under.
For me, this group is how you work on a local level.
And
And
share with
that
each
is-
other too.
Okay, so there's people working at the local level with their faith communities, with divestment, with their schools.
Yeah, right.
Those are other groups. That's what I'm saying.
Are they working? Are they working on a local level?
Well,
Are those groups working on a local level? And I would say that whatever we do, whether it is looking at schools, looking at divestment, that we keep the idea of expanding or networking on a local level there. And if we overlap, if we get resources from the group that's working on schools, great. But that this is what it's all about. It is this kind of local engagement and activity. So it's relevant. It's relevant for the school group, if that's what it is, and it's relevant for our group. Because it's true, we want to talk about building some kind of movement, and that's only going to be on a local.
I think that Peter's document emphasizes that too.
Well, and that seems to be kind of where the disagreement is here. My feeling is always try and include as many people as we can in what we're doing and as many approaches as we can in what we're doing. So if one of the 9 people on this call wants to head in this direction, that's covered by building the movement at the local level, and somebody else wants to head in another direction, but that's fine. And we should encourage one another rather than try and convince one another to do something specific that might not be what works best in that particular location. That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, Margaret, and then Joan.
I shared this document with our little Nuclear Free World Committee, which is part of the Syracuse Peace Council. And everyone was very, very grateful for the document, and one of our members was saying that she was so impressed the way the whole overview, the specific, the goals, the actions, all the different things really focus what we're doing. And there are a number of things in there that we are already doing, but it has already been a resource for us. And we've decided to read Timmons' book now and talk about it, the warheads to windmills. And they're very good actions there. We have been somewhat involved with the divestment, although we put that aside as we've been working on Back from the Brink. So I've come to this committee as a representative from our group and to get ideas, which I have, and to find out what other organizations are doing. And so far that has been very productive for me. We're also—
Margaret, we're actually not talking about that statement yet. You're talking about the very long 16-page statement, right?
No,
We're
I'm
actually,
talking about Peter's.
Yeah, well, we're not at that on the
Timmons.
agenda yet, but
Oh, are
But-
we talking about that? Oh,
no, we're
sorry.
talking about
talking
the very short terms of reference of our group. That's what we're
Oh,
talking
I'm
about right now.
sorry.
yeah, that's what we're talking about. But what you're saying is somewhat relevant to that.
Yes.
I
I'm a
think.
little
But
confused.
anyway, it's Joan's turn.
Cheryl, I'm a little confused too. Can you send out, once you figure out how you're going to phrase it, so and send out copies?
I sent it out to you all
When?
about 3:45 my time, a quarter
Today?
today.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't see it. Sorry.
You have to keep reading your email every 10 minutes.
I was busy. I was so busy from
Right, every 10 minutes. That's a good point.
I just got on at the last minute. I was in the kitchen the whole time. Sorry.
Well, here's the gist of it, putting in the chat right now.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
This
Okay.
is
There we
my
go.
4th webinar today. I got up at 5:45 this morning to join one from Geneva. So
Oh my gosh.
You have an excuse for
But
being
this
tired.
is what is in my email, is what is now on your.
Anyway,
chat.
this is what we're looking at right now, this thing that's in chat.
That she sent out at 3:45 today.
Oh.
Is that
and I
correct?
sent one yesterday. I sent actually an R1 yesterday and then R2 today, a revision 2. So
Oh,
we
I-
haven't, but anyway, it's
I'm
much
not-
shorter and
okay.
we're just niggling about the little a, little b, and I'm suggesting we separate. I mean, I think,
Oh,
we are saying that our group is going to help coordinate these efforts, right?
Yeah.
I don't see why, Tim, and you don't think that should be in there.
It's
I mean,
fine, it's fine. I mean, I think it's more effective to have groups working on a concrete goal and dividing up our roles and not trying to do everything all at once, that's all. And, we're a very small group and we're the same group that meets on all these other phone calls. And unless we, get more organized and more efficient, we're not getting anywhere. That's my concern.
right.
I'm not interested in just meeting up to talk about all these things. I want to get on with it. And there's a lot of work that we can be doing. And the more we can divide up and sort of focus on those things, the more effective we can be. That's all. But we can
That's why I
aim for
thought we were
whatever we
gonna-
want. I mean, I don't mind.
I thought we
What's
were
that?
going to talk about Peter's document in that sense.
We'll come to
He has
that
so many- he has so many
momentarily.
But I mean, you have so many suggestions, and I had focused on one that had affected or that impressed me that I would like to see us go for. And I thought everybody else would have something on their minds. We could talk about which one to pursue at this point for this meeting, at this meeting. That's what I thought this was going to be. I did not know it'd be talking about the goals and objectives thing.
Joan? And then
Oh.
Susan.
Okay, what I was going to say, and I'm thinking it still, is that this group is sort of connected with organizations, both national and also our local
Right.
organizations and groups. And what we are trying to do, I think, is that we are getting really close now to have something that we can take to our local groups and our national groups to encourage them to work locally as well. And that then, because we are not going to do all these things, we're going to recruit other people, basically, who often are already in organizations to do the things that need to be done, and to find groups in other local areas that we have connections to, besides the ones we're in ourselves. So that was the only thing that I was trying to get clear in my mind, and see whether that makes sense to the rest of you. Maybe it's
Susan?
obvious.
Susan?
Okay, this looks fine to me. Cheryl, you said that you thought about separating something, and so what was that? That was
Well,
a
the
need?
help that the helping to coordinate to build the movement would become little c. It would not, B would be split, current B would be split into two different things, because they are two different things.
It's fine. Fine with me to split it. That makes sense. Or to, if we all want it, to keep it,
Right.
keep it. But I think this, sure, split it, make a sense.
Well, I'd like to encourage us to go with that, if you can do that, Tim, and
Yeah,
because we do have more things to discuss today, and there are people who want to leave at 4, so if we could move on, that'd be great. And
I
Cheryl,
will try to make another R3 in the next.
perfect. Thank you very much.
I will look
Appreciate
at my
that.
emails constantly.
And let's ask the secretary to note that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So now, Margaret, we're ready to go to the
Good.
long strategizing document. And in talking about this, I don't want to do this kind of picking at this piece and picking at that piece, which I'm really willing to do, and not on a call like this. Editing by committee is always very frustrating. So I've had quite a few comments that have come into me, some of them from Tim and Cheryl and various other folks have been writing comments to me. And so the one that's called Edit 2 incorporates all the ones that I had up to the time that I sent that out. I've now received a few more. And I think some very good suggestions have come in since then. So this is a living document. We're continuing to modify it. And I'm very pleased, Margaret, to hear that that your group has already begun to find some value in it. So in talking about it, I just wanted to encourage people, if you haven't read it yet, to do so when you have a moment. And then if you can make some comments that you think will strengthen it, that's great. I'd really love to hear them, and I will certainly include them. Hello, Judy.
I just have a question. My impression, well, I don't know exactly now, what is your document for? My impression was that we could use it as a group to decide where we're going, but I gather, no, we are going to use it to give it to groups to use, other groups outside of this group here.
Both.
Both?
Both. It's an attempt to give people who are working on very different approaches to nuclear abolition a way to understand how their work fits into a larger picture, and so that we have less going back and forth between we ought to be doing this, no, we ought to be doing that. That's kind of what I was really aiming for, and it constitutes an expansion of the part that's under objective number 1, which was my original piece that I wrote a year or so ago, or maybe longer, which was all about trying to do exactly what we've just been talking about, which is find lots of different approaches for local people to latch onto so that we could move forward in a lot of different directions at once. In other words, there's somebody who's, who lives in Los Angeles, for example, knows a lot of stars, works with the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation, as Christian does, may be able to connect with a bunch of folks that people like me can't. And so I would hope that they would do some recruiting of those kind of people into our movement. On the other hand, somebody who is a Catholic might be able to pull their local Catholic bishop into this work, which would be great. And, working on the faith-based side of it, or somebody who's really into divestment. Maybe they live in a town where there's a lot of investment in that kind of thing, and they can go into that. The very thing that you were talking about, Margaret, about people reading Tim's work, Tim and Vicky's work, Words to Windmills, and then forming an action group based on that, and then going down that whole list of possible menu choices of what their little group might want to do, I think is a really good organizing. I mean, my opinion is that's a good organizing approach. And that's how we can build the movement with smaller groups that aren't necessarily hooked up with WILF or with Nuclear Ban US or with a collaborative or anything like that, but they're just people that want to start doing something local. That's why I got excited about the TikTok approach, which incidentally is kind of moving forward slowly.
So it's more of a document to help us on the local level to get ideas to how to proceed, in essence, as opposed to ideas for this group to
Mhm.
proceed.
The way I look at it.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. Well, then I will take my part that I love and run with it.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Okay,
And unless there's other comments or questions about that, then let's move on to the part where we talk about what this group's going to do, which is Tim's agenda item. Tim, why don't you take it away?
You've incorporated a lot of the things in Objective 1I, which is about supporting abolition at the local, state, and national level. But there was I sent you all our Massachusetts dossier
Mhm.
with information about the examples of different things that cities and towns in Massachusetts have done, including what we're doing at the state level, which is just to try to set up a commission to look into what the state could do. I mean, you could also do that at the local level if you've got if you haven't got a city council or town council or whatever that's willing to do anything more than that. But I mean, that's the sort of starting point. And then, there's been a lot of emphasis Back from the Brink on, passing a resolution calling on the US government to do something. And there are other resolutions, including the Mayors for Peace and so on, that are, basically saying, the US should do this or that. And then there's all the things that cities or any, counties or, any entity can do on their own to try to help put pressure on these companies and on the government. And that includes all of the, I listed the different divestment bills. I mean, there's been loads of different ones. As you know, New York City just passed a divestment resolution, and there's been others that are stronger because a number of cities, including New York, have passed a resolution saying that they're going to divest, but unless there's a mechanism to monitor that or to hold them to it or to, you know, follow them up, then, you know, we don't know if they will. So there's been, you know, some legislation, some cities have set up a committee or a, you know, nuclear free zone committee or whatever to actually have responsibility for monitoring these things or helping the city to do it. I sent you all the list because I think somebody was questioning how many nuclear free zones in the US there were at the time. And, you know, it's a huge number, 200 plus. Some of them are counties, some of them are Native American, you know, reservations or whatever, nations. And some of them are, I don't know if you got an answer from Chuck, Peter, about there's different categories.
I did not.
So I think some of them definitely were through petitions or whatever initiatives. Some of them were resolutions that you know, don't have hold any legal force. In Northampton, we had and we've had all kinds of different things in Northampton, Massachusetts, but the most effective thing was not a resolution or an ordinance or a statute. It was an executive policy order by the mayor, where he basically said, "I'm doing this," you know, and nobody can stop him except the next mayor can undo it, I suppose. But you know, he did a great one, and including other things that I don't know if you saw the Northampton one. I think it's in that booklet. But you know, it's one of the things is to have a annual disarmament day for the town, you know, and the mayor he's gone now, but you know, he was committed to standing on the steps of the city hall and pronouncing, you know, about the importance of getting rid of nuclear weapons every year. And we were trying to get into the schools on that day and have, you know, make sure that there's other things happening. There's a lot of things you can do at the local level. That's was my point, besides just passing a resolution. And in my mind, the most powerful is actually effectively a boycott of the nuclear weapons companies. And at the city level, that means refusing to do contracts with them, which a number of cities have done, including Oakland, California. And I think I mentioned last time, you know, the city of Northampton wasn't allowed to do it by state law. So we had to get a special permission from the state of Massachusetts to be allowed to do that. But we got it. And so now that's a precedent is set for all the other towns in Massachusetts. So I'm hoping Susan will get Newton to be the next one, because, you know, all the other cities could apply for the same permission to basically bypass the state law, which requires you to go for the lowest bidder, and allows you to say, well, the lowest bidder, as long as they're not making nuclear weapons or whatever else. I mean, you know, fossil fuels. I mean, so there's a list of some examples in there. There's the list of nuclear free zones that I sent out, and on our nuclear ban website somewhere, although I don't know where it is, but there are lots more examples of, you know, the actual ordinances. We have a spreadsheet with all those, right? That Denise made. So, you know, from my point of view, I would love to be working with different people from different parts of the country who are trying to do different things at the local level, but, you know, and compare notes and look at how, you know, what works in one place may not work in another place. But we got so many different possibilities. And once you've got one done, work on another one. You know, I mean, we got to get rid of these weapons. So the more we can do, and, you know, I can't remember if it was this group or a different group, but I mean, somebody was asking about my PhD thesis, which was on the topic of how the INF treaty was actually agreed in the 1980s. And I've just put a synopsis of that on our website, and I can also send that around if you're interested. But from my perspective, the divestment and boycotting aspect of the 1980s, which is very much underknown about, had a disproportionate effect overall. I mean, there's no way of knowing exactly what led to what, but there were a lot of things going on in the 1980s, and that was one of them. But it had a direct impact on the companies, and the companies that were funding the Republican Party and all the politicians that are, I mean, once we get companies concerned about their own bottom line, then we're onto some real pressure. And I think that's a really important part of our whole campaign. That's it.
Okay. So do you have a proposal specifically to make to the group?
Well, that we work on comparing what's happening in each of our towns that we're in, or counties or states, and see if we can move the goalposts one step further.
So
Cheryl?
can I? Yes. I found your email, Timon, and it said I didn't recognize that it was to us. You said to TPNW. Anyway, I've now downloaded your 2 documents. Thank you. And maybe I saw one is 3 megabytes big, so it must have a lot of stuff in it. Maybe we can extract some of these very, very good sounding strategies that you've got in there, and make a smaller document that we can then issue to our other organizations that we work in. I mean, I could imagine sending a smaller document just with these strategies, get your city council to refuse to do contracts with nuclear weapons companies, get something happening in your high schools, and I could get that sent to all our Wilf branches, right? So, because we're always trying to encourage them to take action. And but maybe your 3 megabyte document is too much at the moment. Try to pair, just take out those things. It was just and the other people in this meeting have other organizations, as we know, you all work with. So trying to distribute these ideas would be a part of what we could do, as well as committing to try to do something in our own town. I mean, I can't even get Palo Alto to rejoin Mayors for Peace, because the process to get on the agenda at the city council demands I need 3 councillors who are willing to do it, and just so apparently other city councillors, it's easier to get on the agenda. So anyway, so that would be one way I would take your suggestions. Are other people willing to try to do that? To promulgate these ideas, as they sound, very good.
Well, my plan is as soon as I can get it happening, now that the election is over, the primary is over, and the political people are a little less focused on that. I'm planning to go to our mayor this week and see if I can get him to join Mayors for Peace. My understanding from our city CFO is that we already have a divestment policy that covers not only nuclear weapons, but also fossil fuels with the city. And I haven't been able to get a copy of that, although I've asked for it a couple of times now. But I'm going to try and run that down and make sure that it actually does say that. But if it does, then I'm thinking that maybe going to Rotary Club is the next thing, and try and get the Rotary behind us, because the city probably already is.
I just read in another email from somebody else that the Rotary Club has divested from nuclear weapons.
No, I was talking about getting the Rotary Club active
Yeah.
in
I know,
local
I'm just-
efforts here, not to
Yeah, I'm just
divest it.
saying that my
Yeah.
understanding is, as a international organization,
Mhm.
that was
Great.
the implication, that they've actually committed to divest Rotary Club it's an enormous organization. It's all
Yeah.
over the world.
Right.
And I know the lady who is working on their nuclear, particularly on their nuclear weapons actions. So I'm going to be talking to her about more specifically. Have I understood correctly? It's the International Rotary Club.
Can you
That's-
send that out? Is it a document, the actual document? that you can
It was
send to us?
just mentioned in passing in an email. So no, I don't.
I know,
have
but
it.
do you have any idea if it's a document or could you
I-
go online and get it? In other words,
I'm going to
Susan-
write to this woman that I know and see
Susan,
what
you had
send
your
it
hand
to
up.
us, because that is an amazing thing to know. Because that's an opening to contact your local Rotary too. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Do it, do it. Excellent.
Susan, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. I think if it's possible for you, Timon, I like that idea because as we send this out, as we use this document, having those kinds of suggestions is really helpful. It's there are possibilities, and it's always good to have, aside from theoretical stuff, very concrete possibilities. And then at another point, I will tell you what we in Massachusetts are doing when it's appropriate.
A lot of the, as Tim said earlier, a lot of the ideas that he suggested have now been included under Objective 1, small letter I, in the strategy document.
Okay. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there is-
I noticed there'd been a bunch of new stuff. That's somewhat where it came from.
That's where that came from. Yeah. Tim, did you have more?
Well, just there's also more information on our website under nuclearban.us/4 cities, which I'll put that in the chat if you want to. Wait, okay, did I do that?
Great.
But I can write up a short summary and send it around.
Great.
I also like the idea of this being a work in progress, that we can add to this.
Yeah, I think it's true that having a lot of ideas and the eye-catching way that you present them, Tim, is really good, and that we pull out the things that we connect with and or think our groups are going to connect with, or another group in our area, and you make use of the things that you have shown us. But as Cheryl said, the whole thing is overwhelming. So we pick out, the things and then also make accessible to people with whom we talk the whole thing and the whole strategies for a successful US nuclear weapons abolition movement. So that when we're working with other groups and with our own groups, we have access to the whole thing and we make it available, but it's not the only way we present it, so that it's not overwhelming.
With respect to that, my wife has been after me to write an executive summary of the strategy document, which might answer to some extent to what you're saying, Joan.
Yeah, and what Timon said he would do as far as his latest offerings too.
Right, right.
I'm just scanning through that 3 megabyte Adobe document. I see it's 36 pages. I haven't yet found the section where all your ideas are.
Yeah,
Tim,
it's in the email, the page numbers.
Mhm.
Ah,
So you'll have to look at the email and
great.
Okay, well, I can also find it. So it is in there. And so yeah, extracting that, making a smaller brochure, I think would help Wolf branches.
I
Yeah, they're not
just,
going to
I
read
just
a
dropped
36 page
a link and a few paragraphs from a World Beyond War article from October, Rotary Divest from Weapons Companies. And the article goes into some detail if you click on the link.
It's
Great.
actually Rotary Foundation. So it's, I don't know what the difference is between the Rotary Foundation and the Rotary Club.
Rotary International.
Yeah, I suspect that's somewhat different, but
I believe
nevertheless,
all the Rotary clubs are independent and do their own thing, and the Rotary Foundation is a separate.
separate, right. So
thing.
they're the ones looking at what you just put, Ellen. Thank you. It's the foundation, which is good. So
Yeah.
it sounds like then you, and this is probably what Anne Frisch and her group are doing, is they're going to separate clubs and saying, okay, the foundation's done this. Now, what about your local area?
Mm.
How can you do a similar thing?
Susan?
I just put,
Can we include in this document, or is it not appropriate in this document, links so that there would be a link for Timmins, the nuclearban.us, a link for whatever Wilf is doing, a link for whatever.
Are you talking about the strategy document?
Yes, is that appropriate to have?
Well, yeah, there's a ton of them in there already.
Okay,
You need to look at it and see if you think that one is missing, in which case I will happily add it.
okay.
Uh,
And I apologize, I did not read it thoroughly, so.
Okay, there's a ton of them.
Yeah, right. And as far as, just to throw in, as far as Rotary, what we're doing, planning this for this summer, is to put out training for people both to do back from the brink resolutions in their cities and towns, and also how to go to the Rotary clubs.
Great.
Susan, remind me, are you a MAPA people? When you say we, remind me.
Mass Peace Action, and this is a subgroup of the Nuclear Disarmament Working Group. It's called the Public Engagement Group.
Right. I mean, you're obviously a very active and
Yeah, but
useful.
but there's so much that we need to do, and so many good ideas and things that other people are doing, that this is a great resource. This group.
Agreed.
So Timon, did I hear you say you were going to extract these ideas from your 36 page Adobe document? You will do that because thank you. And then you'll send it to all of us. Thank you.
Short summary, you said, with reference to specifics. That idea?
Say that again?
I think you said you were going to do a short summary, but it sounds like Cheryl is asking whether you're going to include examples, I guess, or all the examples, but in a couple of words, references or something, and to get the ideas into the short summary, but have it be a link, something that people can use to get excited and go to the whole thing. That idea, I think.
I'll work on something and you can tell me how to do it differently.
Edit.
You're so realistic.
All right, well, we're approaching 4 o'clock and several people said they wanted to leave at 4. So
We
let's
have 9
see.
minutes. We have 9 minutes.
Do we?
Long time.
Is my, oh yeah, my clock's fast.
Oh, good.
Sorry. The one on the wall here is a little fast. Okay, well, then we're doing good. So the item that I was hoping we would get some input for, having to do with what the band collective is doing, on June 7th. Anybody know any details about that they want to share with the rest of us?
I went to the website just, half an hour ago, based on this email that came out. Some of you got it from a Sophia Wallman, although it was actually, it was signed by Emma Pike.
Yeah,
Okay, and she said there were 2 things coming up: a June the 1st media workshop to teach us how to make better letters to editor, and then there was a statement we've all been asked to sign. And if you go to, and I gave you the link, that email I sent 10 minutes before this meeting started. They have an events page, but there's nothing written on those events page, but they do ask us to all sign this statement.
have you all
And they're good.
seen that
Yes.
and done it?
I have, I can send you all what I have from Sophia. And Sophia is working with Emma. And it's about, she's writing it to the TPNW group in Massachusetts, but it's applicable to everyone throughout the country.
I'm guessing if you signed the statement, then you've got onto this list that some of you found from Sophia. So I didn't sign the statement yet, so I didn't get it.
It just got sent to us. Sophia sent it to Mass Peace Action.
But they intend to release the statement on June the 7th. They intend to we invite groups to plan a public event, such as a reading of the statement at a local nuclear site, legislative office, or otherwise relevant location on June the 7th. Okay, so this is what they've got: the statement. They're asking people to sign it. They're going to teach us on June the 1st how to get the media's attention, and then we're all supposed to stand out and read it in these various places. That's the gist of this email that I was forwarded to me, that some of you have received and some of you have not. So but if you go to their website, it's not listed there yet. So they've put it in an email, but they've not actually put it on their website.
Ollie?
There's
also a Facebook page. It's the Nuclear Band Collective. It's a private group. There's 370 members. You can join it, and the information's on there as well.
Wow,
Okay.
370 members. Woo.
Yeah, some of us don't do
370, yeah.
Facebook, but nevertheless, could you put that link, Holly?
Yeah.
Because sometimes Facebook pages are open, even if you're not a member of Facebook.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Right, but has it got anything about the June 1st or June 7th things?
Yes, it does. I'm trying to find the.
Oh, Christian's
Nuclear
found.
Band Treaty Collective. It's the Nuclear Band Treaty Collective collaborative invites people in the US to sign their name or their faith community or organization's name to the statement on this existential threat of nuclear weapons and on the treaty of the prohibition of nuclear weapons. The collaborative will release the statement and list of endorsers to the US media on June 7th. We're also asking people to send the statement to their local media that day and to gather, whether one person or 100, with signs and banners at nuclear sites, federal buildings, town squares, and elsewhere for a public reading of the statement. Please share the statement with others and invite them to sign it as well. You can sign it here, and it's HTTPS.
So would you,
I'll copy it and post it. Yeah.
So
on the chat.
June 7th is a Tuesday, by the way. I don't know why they chose a weekday and not a weekend.
I emailed that to you, Peter. I didn't know how to email it to everybody.
So
I sent
Christian
that
just
to
gave
the
us some-
Unitarian Church and was told that it would be passed along, that particular message. I thought that was a good one.
That's great.
So if you click on the link I posted, nuclearbantreaty.org/statement on the nuclear threat, and you scroll down, they have a list of all the events.
Ah.
Very good.
Okay. And some people call that, it's a bit confusing. Sometimes they call themselves a collective, and sometimes they call themselves a collaboration. But is that the same as what I sent out? Okay.
Christian, is this one of the many efforts that you're involved with?
The other thing is they say June the 2nd. All right, so another confusion that needs to be sorted. Here it says June 2nd, but if you actually look at the email that came from Sophia, it says June 1st. Somebody needs to make their mind up.
Okay, when we say they, I mean, we're part of this. This group is part of the collaborative.
Right,
And
right.
Peter, are they still having the meetings of the coordinating committee?
They haven't. We have-
Yes, I missed the last one.
Oh, you missed the last.
Because it was, I had a conflict that day.
Okay.
But they did, and I got a fairly amorphous kind of minutes from it. I
Okay,
can send them.
but those you should circulate those minutes to the rest of this group so we know what's going on.
Well, I should and normally do, but it didn't seem like that those minutes were going to help anybody because they didn't help me much. So,
Okay.
What they were talking about.
so I didn't send them, but I can find them and send them if you want them.
Yeah, it was my understanding that this group, what Sophia and Emma are working on, was from the Nuclear Ban Collaborative, which is what we are a
Right.
subgroup of. And in fact, I shared with Sophia, I told her that the localities and legislators, or LNL group, is working on the statement, and I shared the draft with her because she presented at our meeting. She presented on both. So,
See, I have a different take on what the positions, because my understanding it's through days of action, and their primary focus is on what's happening on around June, in June with the 40th anniversary, the first meeting of state parties, and so forth.
So it's just the Days of Action working group doing this, not the whole collaborative.
Well, maybe the whole collaborative. We haven't, as far as I know, the coordinating committee has not yet met for May. In May, I don't think we've met yet.
Okay.
well, here we are in this conundrum, and it's 7:00 here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, if you want, I'll write and ask for some clarity on, is it June 2nd or June 1st?
Mhm.
And send out an email.
Yeah, Yeah, I have to talk with Sophia also a little bit
Well,
more.
Why don't you
Peter
do
is
it
our
next week?
representative on the collaborative, and Christian's also on it.
Mm.
And I think, Peter, if you can't make it to one of those meetings, I mean, I think one other time you asked somebody else to do it for you, didn't you?
Yeah, and they didn't.
Oh. Well,
So, yeah, and the problem is that, and I've talked to Ralph about this. Often, I don't find out that there's going to be a CC meeting until like a day before. And so I've said, you know, could you give us a little bit more notice on this? And sometimes yes, and sometimes no. But I will see what I can do.
That
Did you contact that person by email or phone?
Which person?
The one you asked to attend that didn't?
Oh, I asked for anybody to do it, and
Was
nobody
it-
did.
Was it by email?
Yes,
Yeah,
I put out a thing to the LNL meeting saying I can't do it. Could somebody else do it? And nobody else did.
maybe we should share our phones if we're willing to be asked to do things, because I don't see my emails sometimes for a while.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and
oh yes,
that probably would be a good idea.
right. If we could do text. Yeah.
Maybe people put your
Phone.
email and phone number in the chat, and then
we could also appoint a deputy or an alternate delegate. And then, you know, when one person can't do it, the other person is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we may also have thought Christian was going to be there if you know. So that might be another, but then Christian's been busy doing things too.
No, I have been attending the meetings.
Yeah. There you go.
I've been on them, and
Yeah.
I don't, as far as I know, I don't think we met in May. Ralph does send the email reminders like the day of.
Yeah. Details.
Well, on that note, I've got to go, and I'm sure that we will keep in touch via email about things that are going on, and you'll let us know about the next meeting of this group. Wonderful group.
Next
Right.
meeting,
save your chat,
Carol,
save your
June
chat,
27th.
Susan.
the next meeting is on the 27th, I think.
Yeah, yes, we
Is that what I put in the agenda?
Yes, you
oh, you
did.
did. Okay, thank you. I'll read that. Okay.
All right, I'm just put my home number. I really don't have a smartphone.
The 27th of
27th of June at 3 and 6.
that's
Yeah.
Monday, right? You mean the 28th?
No, it's Tuesday.
Oh, you've chosen Monday, Peter.
Oh, did I?
Yes, I'm looking at my calendar. Yes, should be 28. Good
28.
catch.
I have it as the 28th.
Okay.
Right, you are. Right, you are. Make it to 28.
28. Okay. But we've got,
The
we'll be
fourth
doing
Tuesday,
stuff.
right? The fourth Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good way to remember.
Right.
Yeah, my bad. You're right.
Not a bad.
You're human.
I mean,
All
we're all,
right, let's all go listen to Joseph Gerson, who has some good ideas
Okay.
about
Okay, thank you all.
security.
thank
And
you
you
all.
all.
Good
I
meeting.
will make some notes and try to remind people what they committed to do.
I'll send everybody the link to the recording. You need to get it before Sunday because we will be using it on
All
Sunday.
right. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you. Yeah, no kidding.
Thanks.
Bye.
I.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Save the chat.
Once again. And there we go. Bye, Ellen.
Bye-bye. You got it, Holly?
Yeah, bye.
Bye.